What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with data points, you have Monday, more of a technical driven day, so not a lot in data points then. Tuesday, durable goods, so still not really all that crazy. Then you have Wednesday, so interest rate decision, so it's fair to assume that nothing is going to be done there, so no cut, no hike, nothing like that. But what is stated afterwards, that is going to really shake things up. And there was this that did occur, it was yesterday, so the World Economic Forum, so a lot of the big leaders talked on inflation. And interestingly enough, they did allude to that there might need to be actual hikes to really be the last hammer to bring inflation down. So if Powell states that he might be looking at hikes, not cuts, market's going to freak like crazy. So that is coming out on Wednesday, and then Thursday you have the regular like initial jobless claims and whatnot, but you also do have GDP forecast right now for that is 3%. And then moving on, Friday, PCE. So a lot of big data points that have the ability to really move the market, but it kind of gets better than that as well, because you have a hell of a lot of big companies unveiling their earnings. Wednesday after hours, Tesla, you also have Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Intel, a lot of big names that pretty much have the ability to really move the market itself. So you have a lot of volatility today, and in SoundHound's case, which is already a very volatile stock, that is going to be magnified. So just be aware of that. As far as right now, there isn't anything planned for like fireside chats, interviews, or anything, but they are participating between the 27th and the 29th at that customer service contact conference. So hopefully they do put out some PR. Probably not official PR, but most likely what they'll be doing is just post on social media. And I think SoundHound's been doing a better job of doing that. So they've really encompassed like what they're doing, and so I think they are making improvements for that. So definitely that should be something to look forward to between the 27th and the 29th. Shorts though, as per usual, I think it's a kind of usual now that they increase every single day. Friday they increased to 656,000 shares. Going into this upcoming week, 26.56% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 87.42 million shares. I would like to say that if the data comes out good, let's say PCE, GDP, Fed rate comes in with line with expectations and everything, shorts might feel kind of willing to return. But honestly, I don't really know what SoundHound shorts, what it'll take for them to return. SoundHound, like, even though it's been going down, and ever since the peak it kind of went down a lot, but over the last 1 year, it is still up 733%. Despite that though, shorts just increase. So they have very, very deep pockets. And so I think ultimately it might just be SoundHound doing some pretty good partnerships, or maybe just eventually profitability. That is, I think, maybe the only point when shorts will kind of return. But so long story short, just anticipate shorts to be very active as per usual. But moving over to options. So this is the current call options that was done on Friday. So there's a consensus for it to be roughly around that $20. I think there's always been a lot of optimism for it to get to $20. And if it actually does and is able to close, let's say a Friday above 20, then this is where you could see potentially a little bit more of maybe a deterrent from shorts. I think that might prompt possibly a squeeze. But with it from Friday, so it closed at exactly, I think it was 1584. So that does mean that pretty much the 16 and above strike prices do expire worthless. So you have 5,000 at the 15, 3,000 at that 1550. And so you won't really be seeing all that much in a gamma squeeze, a little bit of buying from market makers to cover that, but all in all, nothing really crazy. For this upcoming week, just take note of some of these walls. So you have 3,000 at that 16, 3,000 at that 17, 5,000 at that 20. So market makers and as well shorts will have a financial interest in keeping SoundHound below these strike prices. So just watch for if it does get close to 20, a little bit of manipulation just to bring it down. Same goes for 16. If it's flirting with this come close to Friday, then anticipate them to really kind of move it lower. But quickly going back over here, the bears are anticipating for this upcoming week for it to be roughly around that 14 to 14.50. So they're anticipating more of a full-on reversal. Could be just SoundHound in specific, or it could be because of the data points. But aside from that though, these are all the transactions that did occur on Friday. So you're still seeing a good amount of transactions. So big money is actually like paying attention to SoundHound still. And I remember when I was covering SoundHound, sometimes you wouldn't even get any transactions on the secondary market. So you have to kind of look back at time, and roughly like around here in July, like they've made huge progress from July up until now. Like they're actually getting big money paying attention to it and everything else. So let me know your viewpoint on that in the comments below. Moving on from here, no new analyst ratings, nothing along those lines. So last one was done roughly 12 days ago, $26 price target, H.C. Wainwright, Scott, who has a 33% success rating. And then aside from that, you did have Daniel Ives, Wedbush 22. So honestly, as I've stated, I think Daniel Ives, he's on point with a lot of his innovative company ratings. So SoundHound eventually will get back to that 22. It's just sometimes it'll take longer than anticipated, similar to what happened with Palantir. But going into this upcoming week though, with it at 1584, it is trading between this R3 and this R2. So 1561 is going to be the next strong support. Wasn't touched on Friday, but given the volatility, you might see it come this week. And then 1674 followed by 1968 is going to be the following kind of target slash resistance points. So yeah, honestly, it's going to be a lot of volatility. It'd be good if SoundHound, if they did have news, they were to put it out, really prompting some buying, because I feel like a lot of big money is going to be really active this week. Over the last couple trading days, or even the last week, in fact, there has been lower and lower volume. So I think everyone is just waiting for what is Apple. Like, I think some people are somewhat worried about that. iPhone sales, Intel, definitely that one's a hot one. Meta, Tesla, like a lot of people are going to be watching these very closely and what they give for future guidance. So potentially if SoundHound was to put good news out during this time frame, big money will be able to really pounce all over that, in my opinion. So that could really stand to help, benefit. But aside from that though, on the actual chart itself, going into this upcoming week, it did close below the ALMA, so that right now is $16.11, still below the super trend. So that does mean that you'll have algorithmic trading really pushing SoundHound down, and that's been kind of the occurrence ever since January the 8th. But one point to really watch for is that 50-day moving average sitting at 1407. That was for the most part the saving grace for SoundHound when it was really pulling down between January the 13th and January the 21st. And so ultimately just anticipate pretty much maybe that 50-day moving average to be touched, or potentially new highs of roughly around that $19 range, or even better yet, maybe even higher than that. So yeah, this week is going to be crazy. So I know I say this a lot, but take the time, even this weekend, take the time to research options. They can be very profitable, even if you're bullish or bearish in either direction. Because keep in mind, as I mentioned, the bears are anticipating for it to be around that $14 range by the end of the week. And then the bulls are anticipating for it to be off roughly around 20. So you can always do, let's say, a lot of different strategies. Pop over to my Patreon, and I do put out buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto, but there is a section on there that I put down all the actual option strategies ranging from beginner, intermediate to advanced. So pop over there and kind of make the most money that you can from the volatility. So hopefully everyone has an amazing weekend. Throw your price prediction where you feel SoundHound is going to be by the Friday. And do you think it's going to be around that 20 or potentially even higher? Or do you think it is going to bounce once again off of this 50-day moving average? Or break below it. What's your thoughts on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with all that, have a good weekend.